There you go.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sakina Manan. I'm Account Director for Middle East and Africa region based out of our Dubai office. I would like to begin today's event with a very warm welcome to everyone who has taken time out to join us for our Middle East and Africa's Digital Insight Summit. We will begin the session with a quick introduction of Tuluna and who we are. Then we're going to move on to building the context for how Tuluna was able to position itself in today's technology-driven and on-demand economy. In building this context, we will first discuss the new challenges that have emerged in recent times. Then we will have an interactive session with Linda Ben Salah. Linda is the sensory and consumer scientist for Middle East and Africa region at Wrigley Mars. Linda, thank you very much for taking time out and joining us today. Then finally, we're going to show you a live demo session of the Tuluna Start platform. The idea is to demonstrate how quickly Tuluna is able to always address new client and market challenges and ensure business continuity for our clients across all verticals and markets. If you do have any questions throughout the session, please do ask them by posting on the chat bar that you see on the right-hand side of your screens. And then depending on the time availability, we'll either try to answer them one by one after the session today, or we're going to come back to you later during this week with our response. Right, so let's begin with a quick introduction of the amazing journey that Tuluna has had so far in the Middle East and Africa region. So we opened our office exactly 4 years ago. So this month is our birthday as well, birthday month. We opened 4 years ago in Dubai to service all of our clients in Middle East and Africa region. When we started 4 years ago, we were just a team of handful resources, and we grew all the way to 15 amazing team players supporting our business in the region. We have managed to double our business in the past 2 years. And this one is an interesting point that in the last 1 year, we have been able to double the digital platform-based business as well. Indeed, to this success for doubling the business within just a span of 9 to 12 months of our digital and automated solutions, COVID-19 did act as a catalyst, and many of our clients were actually relieved to see that Tuluna offers various digital and automated solutions that will still ensure business continuity and get them the insights in real time with the benefit of cost and time efficiencies. We also managed to grow our client portfolio from a handful of clients 4 years ago to now 50 plus. And these span across all different segments, be it market research agencies, be it consultants, government entities, media clients, or end clients and corporations. Now, when I say that our region is adopting automation and COVID acted as a catalyst, and industry leaders and consumer insight professionals are moving towards DIY solutions, this does not mean that this is all that we offer. We obviously do offer end-to-end solutions, and which are backed by our extensive panel coverage. I'm going to touch that in a few seconds. And we do have our world-class team of researchers and consultants who give us many reasons to celebrate every now and then by winning various industry awards. The latest one, which was just won last week, is the Gold Award at the Trophies Marketing Award ceremony in the market research category for our project called Magic Box. And our client over here was Denon. Lastly, of course, when I say that we provide you all the end-to-end solutions, it also covers all the 360 holistic view of research solutions that are available in the market, be it quantitative, be it qualitative, and now be it quantitative automated solutions or customized solutions. There is a range of flexibility and options available for you. In doing all this, We do provide you extensive flexibility, whether you would want to go ahead with a DIY option, that is, you go on the platform and conduct your study entirely on your own, or you would like Luna to assist you. So we call it assisted DIY, where you could choose to take some of the operational tasks at your hand and give us some. Or we could go with the full service project option. That would mean that all end-to-end project delivery, starting from the questionnaire design all the way till and driving analysis and insights, would be on our shoulders. Now, how do we do what we do, and how are we able to actually provide end-to-end package solutions to all of our clients and help them make their decision-making process much more faster? First is, of course, technology, and we live by the slogan, led by tech. We have our own proprietary in-house product development and innovation team, and all of our products and solutions that are offered on the automated platform, Luna Startform, are built in-house. And we invest heavily in research and development and innovating the product to make sure that we meet the needs of our end clients. Then, of course, the second important pillar for us is our influencers. Luna takes pride in the fact that we have the largest consumer social voting community, which has more than 30.6 million influencers across 70 different markets. I'm going to touch base on this as well shortly in the coming one or two slides, and I'll tell you and I'll explain how the panel is built, in the sense that all these 70 plus markets and the panel are Luna's proprietary panel, and we spend a lot of quality time to make sure that we recruit the right audience in the right markets. And the last one is, of course, our research expertise and consultation that I've just discussed. You could operate in total autonomy or rely on the expertise and advice of our client servicing and research team. This slide mainly covers the global outlook of 30.6 million consumers that I just mentioned. And here I would only like to call out that in Middle East and Africa region alone, we do have 500,000 plus consumers. We call them influencers in various different markets. And we do continue to invest significantly to grow the panel sizes. For next year, we're going to focus more on building stronger panels in some of the GCC markets, namely Kuwait, Oman, Bahrain. Here again, at a global level, how we position ourselves and how we take pride in our expertise is, in total, we are 14 million amazing team players in 26 different offices, 19 different markets, and in overall, we service 13 different sectors. In terms of our technology, as I mentioned, that we have our own in-house research and development and product innovation team. About 25% of our employees work on this division alone and provide 24/7 access to all the 30.6 million consumers that we have in a holistic 360-degree view. When we talk about the global community, like I mentioned, that we own the largest one, again, we have done extensive profiling for all of these, which is more than 750 plus, to make sure that when it comes time to recruit the right target audience, we have all the information to accurately target audience as accurately as possible. So, for example, some of the profiling variable for which we already have the information could be behaviors around gaming attitude or e-commerce shopping, or healthcare, beauty, wellness attitude of consumers and how they keep emerging. And interestingly, if you are following our global barometer that is being run twice every month and tracks changes on the post and pre-pandemic times, you will notice that a lot of these variables and how the consumer are changing are covered in the report. This one is a very interesting slide and very relevant to this region, because we always get this question Like I mentioned, we're still emerging in the Middle East and Africa region, and a lot of clients are still more inclined towards or are in the dilemma of should it be traditional way of capturing data, or should it be the new technology-based digital ways. So when I meet a lot of our professionals in consumer insight departments, I often hear them saying that, you see, the traditional research, you have more control on the data, you have better quality. Yes, it is expensive, and yes, it is time consuming. While they say that when we are doing anything automated online, it is a lot of manual work, difficult to navigate through the platform. Quality sometimes can become challenging to control because you don't have access directly to the respondent who is taking the survey. And yes, but this is cost effective. This is time effective. So the good news is that with Tuluna Start, we are offering you the best of both worlds. What we have really done, and my colleague Randeep is actually going to do a quick demo, like I mentioned earlier, to show you how we do this and how easy the platform is to navigate and do your market research studies in real time. Tuluna Start provides you end-to-end solutions, real-time intelligence platform, which has all the qualitative as well as the quantitative solution, access to 70 plus markets, 30.6 million consumers, all under one platform within a span of few clicks. Now, I think it's the right time that I would invite Marco Gastout to please kindly join this stage and take us through the new challenges and how the world is emerging with every coming month and weeks.
Thank you, Sakina, for the great introduction. First of all, I would like to thank the attendees. Now, Sakina, you can keep sharing, please, because can you keep sharing?
Okay.
Or do you want me to share?
I'm sharing.
Okay, thank you. Fantastic, thank you very much. So yes, thanks to all the clients that have joined and registered to this and participate to these events. Thanks specifically to our speaker, Linda Benson from Miles Brickley. Thanks to the team, Dubai team, to put together the contest for this presentation, especially to Gianmarco Sareri, the marketing manager, to always find a solution for everything. And before moving on, I would like to just to make a short parenthesis, because today we are doing a virtual digital event. And I think it's an interesting parallel with the challenges that the market research industry is having at the moment. If I go back in February, when in Europe, a little bit later in UAE, maybe in March, the pandemic hit the world, all of a sudden we realized that the physical events was not anymore a marketing option. And for Tuluna physical events, promotional physical events done by the market research organizations, or our own physical Tuluna events, they are one of the most important marketing activities that we do. So at the time we were a bit stuck, a little bit worried about what was going to happen. And then as we became more aware of the possibility and the online and digital creates, really we become accustomed to a new way of working. And we start realizing digital events that also help to have a more diverse audience in terms of geography. And we registered a record amount of registrants in the last year that we never experienced before. So, of course, we would like to go back one day to meet in a nice location where there is also a little bit of networking. But in the new normal, if you ask me now, I don't think that we can go back to what we were doing before, to do only physical events, because I think, like in the case specifically of Middle East and Africa, the geography they are so extended, and we really want to, our clients and prospects and not only from Dubai but from the entire region to attend our events. I think it was a good as an example that I wanted to show, because I think many of you have found similar challenges in the respective companies. For today, I will. So where I am, I'm basically since 1 year and 3 months the managing director of Toluna Middle East and Africa. And I've been in Toluna for 13 years, and I've been developing the business, the Italian business, the Spanish business, and the Latin American business, where we are in this market, respectively, the leader in digital research. And I got the pleasure today to speak with Prithvi Subedar, who is basically our lead in terms of quantitative research methodology. If you can move to the next slide, please, Sakina. So today in our section, we would like basically to just this one. We would like to share basically a few trends that describe basically how the world has changed, how the consumer behavior and decision making and opinions that have changed, and how research. How the consumer insights manager and the research in general is reacting to this new context. And I think this is important as a context. It's important this section to provide some context, because I do believe Toluna, with the expertise in agile research, is particularly relevant and important in this historical moment in time, when brands really need to be connected with consumer almost on a daily basis, to grasp and to identify all the market gap and all the new opportunities. And we will look if these trends are temporary, or some of these trends that will stay after the pandemic will be resolved. If you can move to the next slide, please. And to the next one, please. So I read a very interesting article from McKinsey, the consultancy firms, that I think was in one sentence kind of describing very well what's happening in UAE, in the Middle East, but I would say in the entire world. This is kind of a global trend that basically in the last 6 months, we have seen an acceleration of 5 years in terms of digital adoption of brand, consumer, and institution, which is obviously unprecedented. It's like we're brought with a time machine of 5 years in 6 months. If you can move to the next slide, please. And in these slides, I wanted to give some example of the digitalization of the economy and society in UAE and in the Middle East. Obviously, it's not an exhaustive list, but it gives, I think, some of the, of context. So we have seen e-commerce is not something new. It's not like e-commerce was invented this year, but we've seen a big expansion of e-commerce in the last year. We've seen an increase in people that spend more and more time on social media, reading online reviews and blogs. And we've seen a further acceleration of mobile contactless payment. We've seen an increasing importance of marketplace, both for used products, like for example Facebook Marketplace or eBay, and new products. Well, all of a sudden, pretty much all of us, we've been working from home. Not commuted to the office anymore, and using very extensively all sorts of teleconference platforms. So we all experience a slightly different way of working than before. For parents with children, has been an educational. The online education has been an educational process, and certainly required a higher engagement and involvement in the education of the children. And we all discover a platform like Google Classroom and so on, that were almost unknown before. TV on demand, again, is not something new, but maybe before the consumer had one subscription on TV entertainment platform. The second one, or people that have two, they went for the third one. So there was an acceleration for sure that. Yes, there was an acceleration of everything that are indoor versus outdoor. I'm thinking about gym classes, yoga, cooking lesson, a lot of indoor online-based activities, and a further increase in food delivery apps. Here I mentioned 4 very popular in UAE: Zomato, Deliveroo, Talabat, and Karem. But indeed, there's been a huge acceleration of that, as well as shopping cart. But I will come back to that in a moment. Sakine, if you can move to the next slide, please. So undoubtedly, and I don't want to give a different picture, undoubtedly the pandemic it had on the economy, as it had in terms of employment, as it had in terms of available income. And therefore, consumers, they are more mindful in the way that they spend money. And according to this report in UAE, 56% of the consumers, they are looking at a new way to save money when shopping. So thinking about promotion. And 54%, they are becoming more mindful of where they spend money, meant both in terms of categories and channels. If you can move to the next one, please. And as always, the winner and loser, or temporary loser, and hopefully I didn't mean to offend any possible company falling into that loser. What I mean is that even during the pandemic, indeed there has been a reduction in sales for a lot of categories, everything that is related to the outdoor consumption, or in the automotive or durable goods, or so there is or traveling or accommodation. There has been really a big contraction of the business. But in the same period of time, we're seeing categories like grocery, which obviously is a very important target market for Toluna, home entertainment and supplies, increasing their sales. If you can go to the next one, please. And we have seen also a higher contribution of online. So to this specific question, the consumer will ask if they will basically buy online the categories listed in this page after the COVID. And as you can see, there has been a significant increase in the shop buying online. So for grocery, before the pandemic, only 29% of the population UAE, they were buying online, and during the pandemic, the projection, the expectation after the pandemic is that another 20% of the population, so 49% overall will buy online, which makes it basically a 69% increase, which is quite extraordinary. So even category not maybe initially naturally associated to the e-commerce and online, they are now seeing a very strong acceleration, and they are becoming part of the habits, the shopping habits of the average UAE citizen. If we can move to the next slide, please. And online is also very, very key channel when it comes to the customer journey to discover new products and brands, and actually 70% when asked eventually when bought this product, how did initially got to know about this product. So basically the digital channel waits for 70% of the total decision-making process. If we add advertising online, someone talking about it on social media, and proactive research, these are really key contributors in the customer journey. If you can move to the next one slide, please. And the consumer in this analysis, both in UAE and KSA, they are clearly more optimistic of what's going to happen after COVID. And precisely 61% of consumers of UAE and KSAs, they think that the economy will rebound within 2-3 months after the COVID. So there will be basically there is more optimism in the recovery, and compared to the other peers in other countries. Okay. And if you can move to the next one, okay, which is my final slide. So indeed, basically, the increased usage of digital, both in distributing and communicating with consumer, has clearly defined a new, more extensive digital customer journey. There are more touch points. Let's think about, for example, about the new e-commerce player or the more articulated e-commerce offer, the current one. Let's think about, if we talk about KPI, obviously, when we are looking at the purchasing intention, there is now higher priority in where the products are coming from. And it's not that before not important, but now it's even more important. Supply chains. These are all very high topics in the mind of the consumer. If we look at brand now, clearly there are topics like sustainability and also the contribution the brands give to the society and the community and future relevance and vitalities that are very, very important on top of the traditional metrics. And on this, I'll let my colleague to come back more extensively. Customer satisfaction and loyalty, all of a sudden, before there was the out of stock situation, and then a lot of customers, they found themselves with a slightly different assortment on both on the shelf, both on the digital shelf and on the brick and mortar shelves. So that means that they've been experiencing new brands. So it's even more difficult to keep this customer loyal. So it's required some changes also in monitoring that. And another comment that came out from when we launched Toluna Stars mid-September, about 40 top brands, they supported us in the launch. And I remember one comment was, for me, very interesting, of a consumer insights manager of Converse, the sports company. And they basically said that like now, never never before, finance is really involving consumer insights in that has to do with the forecasting process, where before it was more a partnership between the finance department and commercial department. Now, because of the dynamic context, consumer insight has been asked to provide more and more feedback on how it's going to look the market in the following week, the following months, and so on. And finally, also communication. The situation is heavily impacting on communication. I think that the company needs to strike the right balance between being tactful in this moment of time and creating the right excitement and the right energy behind the new products launch and advertise. So sometimes leaving the advertising as it is, or just to change the tail of the advertising, is not good enough. And I think there's a huge effort for all the company to stay tuned and to in an appropriate manner. And with that in mind, I will let my colleague Prudvi, which I invite on the stage, I don't see on the stage, to basically present the results of our own barometer. And so it can give you more indication about how the consumers have changed their opinions and behavior in the last 6 months.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, good afternoon, Dubai times. I'll let you present your section. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I hope you're able to see my screen.
Very well. Thank you.
Yeah. As Marco rightly mentioned, the changes have been rapid and they have been unprecedented. So with these changes in mind, let's see how consumer habits have changed over the time. For this purpose, we will be looking at a global barometer that Toluna has run from March this year in terms of understanding what have been the impact of COVID on consumer habits and how it is changing every day. So we have had about 13 waves as of now, which started in March, and it's a bi-monthly tracker. So I will be shedding some light in terms of how UAE market has responded in comparison to the global averages. Yes, so there have been lockdowns, there have been restrictions, there have been a lot of changes. So the desire for normality is absolutely expected. And when we look at UAE consumers, they are telling that they would be more cautious in terms of how they are spending money on. We know there have been income cuts, we know there have been challenges in jobs, so they are being more rational in terms of where they are spending money on. And as Marco mentioned, the category landscape is changing. It's more on essential goods and things that are required. And they would eat more of healthy food, they would take vitamin supplements, they would be more environmentally conscious. These are some of the trends that are different from the global average. And when we look at the global scenario, it's actually consumers with the lockdowns and everything that are around them. They want to like go out and shop in a store. They want to go out and eat and live a normal life that they were living earlier. So what does it mean to us? So it means that there are new interests that are emerging. So about 57% of the consumers in UAE said that they would expect to continue cooking at home and eating more at home compared to the global average, which is 44%. And this means that consumers are interested in more FMCG categories. They are interested in what they are buying. And when we ask these questions, and they said that 46% of them said that they spend more time on choosing the right home cleaning products, which once was considered as a low involvement category, a banal product, and consumers are spending more time. So it's important that we have the right messages in the packaging, in our communication. So consumers are being more cautious, they are being more rational, and about 60% of the consumers said that they are spending more time in terms of choosing the right personal hygiene products for themselves as well as their family, compared to 37%, which is the global average. So we know that consumers are moving online. So it's important, and it's important that we give a good omni-channel experience to them. And as Marco mentioned, the consumer journey is changing. So we need to like satisfy them and delight them at every stage of the touch point that we are accessing the consumers at. So all these changes, the new interest, the change in landscape, it is impacting the way consumers are purchasing. And about 2/3 of the consumers are telling that they expect the pandemic will affect how they shop in the future, compared to 48% globally. So what it means is post the COVID, it's going to be a different scenario. It's the new normal or the next normal that is going to be there. And the changes are happening on a daily basis. So we need to like clear ourselves in terms of the strategy and for the next year, so that we are catering to the needs of the changing consumer, because they expect that the shopping behavior is changing. So they are exposed to like online, the different offers, and given the market that is like driven by promo, it's actually consumers are expecting more out of the products that they are buying, and they are being rational and cautious of what they're choosing in their baskets. And when we asked how confident they are about shopping stores right now, it's about 37%, which is at par with the global average of 34%, which consumers are telling they are confident in shopping in person. About 2/3 of the consumers are still not greatly confident, and they are taking a mixed approach of online and offline kind of a shopping experience. And the opportunity and the good news is that about 1/5 of the consumers are prepared to pay globally more for specific goods that they are looking for, so that are of interest to them. Actually, if they feel it, if it's a sanitizer, which is an important thing, or a mask, which is an important thing, the prices have gone up, and if they want to buy, they would go and buy it. That's what they're telling. And the numbers are like astonishingly high compared to the global average, which is at 37%. So consumers are changing, the way they are looking at brands are changing, the way they are choosing the brands are changing. So what it means to us? So it means that having a healthy brand is very important as of today than it was earlier. So it was always brand building, which will take the brand a long way. And we have seen that over the last recession, or brands that sustained, the brand that grew, the brand that communicated well, were the brands that were like moving forward. So it's imperative that we have a healthy brand. So what do we mean by a healthy brand? It's about a brand that is being considered by most of the audience, which is trusted and which is recommended. And how do we help you build a healthy brand? As Marco was mentioning, it's not only about tracking the KPI in terms of past and present performance, it's about having a future in our consideration as well. So whether the brand is able to meet the future needs, whether it is relevant in the future, and whether the brand is building the excitement that is needed at this moment. So social media is there, consumers have access to a lot of different touch points, they know a lot about the brands, they are being involved in the decision making. So it's important that whatever traditional agencies have been giving, which is about the current equity, is definitely considered. Plus, we look at vitality and we look at future relevance. So, just to give you an example, Orkut was a brand which was starter in terms of social media platform, but it was not able to sustain because it did not adapt to the changing needs of the consumers. So Facebook came in and it has been ruling for the last 10 years. Then Instagram came. So it is actually like moving with the audience and it is actually having a pulse of the consumer. So what we give is a combination of these things and let you know like compelling, what are the compelling brands. You might be a compelling brand today, but something which is like talking about future relevance could be a challenging brand. So all these things we will be able to like look at it. And if anything that the pandemic has taught us, it's actually mediocrity of any sort will not be spared, be it our health, be it our professional lives or personal lives. So it's about having a super healthy brand that is of importance. With this, I hand the mic to Motasim. And thank you so much for joining in today. I'll stop sharing.
Yeah, sure. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much, first of all, for sharing your time with us. My name is Motasim, and I manage business development for Tuluna in the region. And today I'm going to talk about basically how research needs have changed in the region. Now, the last year has been, given the pandemic and the lockdown, has been quite a unique challenge for a lot of companies. And because of that, because of the dynamic changes into the market, the need for online research has emerged as one of the key changes in 2020. Now, to understand a little bit more about how the need for market research has increased and why has online market research become much more important in the last year, we decided to get feedback from our clients across the globe and ask them why is market research a more viable, a more important option for them in order to get their insight. Now, the first thing they reverted back to us with was speed, and speed is essential, of course, considering how fast the market is changing. It is no longer viable for you to wait weeks from the day the brief is delivered until the day you get your consumer insights. Now, the new timeline is for you to get your feedback within days from the time you actually request such information. But speed is not the only factor. Agility is not the only factor. Our customers have actually highlighted the following factors, and the second one of which is quality. Now, there's all with the traditional approach for market research, there has been always this, comparison with do you go for speed or do you go for quality? But with technology, you do not have to sacrifice speed for quality, especially in this market. What you need is meaningful feedback from a sufficient amount of responders in a convenient amount of time. And if you don't get that, then you don't have data that you need to take the action that you need at the time that you need. And that's also another reason why customers have said that market research, online market research specifically, is definitely more important. But again, online market research, of course, comes with its own challenges. For you to have a online market research tool that's viable for you, the tool, first of all, needs to be flexible so that you can have the control that you need. It needs to have the options that you are looking for and the ability to customize. It needs to be built in with some pre-built templates for the things that you're looking for, whether they are brand testing, product testing, all of that needs to be available on the tool, and it needs to be accessible. The tool needs to be easy to use. So that's another thing that the customers have highlighted in why they need online marketing research. Another important factor is learning in real time. And by learning in real time, I don't mean getting the results faster. I mean having access to real-time dashboards that gives you an indication of how the project is moving forward, how the project is going. Are you getting the insights that you need out of the project so that you can take an action immediately and not have to wait for the duration of the project till it ends to get the reports that you need? So that's also something that has become very important, that the solution needs to be as dynamic as possible because the market is becoming very dynamic. And finally, because as a result of the changes in last year, work environments have become, decentralized. People are working from multiple places, from offices and for homes. So they need an online tool, just like with every other kind of side of the business. They need a tool that's online, that's actually collaborative, that allows them to share insights with each other and collaborate with each other on their market research projects and get what they want in a tool that's efficient to be online. And of course, that's also one of the reasons why customers go with online market research and with Tuluna. Now, to bring these points to life, I would like to invite our guest speaker, Linda bin Saleh. As Sakina mentioned, she's a MEA sensory and consumer specialist in Mars. She has an extensive experience with consumer product and sensory DA project management and conformance management, as well as design thinking with Mars. Linda, welcome to our event. Thank you for joining us, of course. Linda, first of all, it's a pleasure to talk to you and get information and insight from your experience with the market. Linda, let me start with this question. Thinking about 2020, now we have seen unprecedented change. Consumers are different, and the need to understand them as well has become different. Have you had to adapt your approach to insights to better understand the 2020 customer?
Obviously. Oh, yeah. But first, I always like to start by putting things into context. So let me give you a bit of background to help address this question. So I sit in the sensory team, which is different from the CMI team in Mars. Our sensory function is split in 3 pillars. So we have the expert panels using the descriptive analysis, as you were saying. We have product and pack testing, and we have sensory quality. And each one of those 3 pillars has been indeed impacted by the pandemic. So, for example, in terms of DA panels, and we do a lot of those, as anyone listening here that has been involved in managing and training a panel, we know how intensive it could be to set up such an asset. It takes months, probably years, to keep their skills sharp, and we couldn't just stop using this valuable asset in Mars because of the lockdown, and that the panel cannot come anymore to our offices. So what we did is we had to quickly turn things around, and we found a way to run those panels remotely. What helped us is that we upgraded our software of sensory data collection and analysis since 2018, and that was really our savior here. It allowed us to very quickly switch to in-home panels with no delays in our project. So obviously, some small logistics in terms of delivering samples had to be adopted, but nothing more than that. So yeah, being ready to face such a thing was key for us. No one expected the pandemic to happen, but we were very happy we made that step since 2018. And now in terms of consumer testing, same thing. So we've started switching gears since 2019. I think that's when I started talking with Sakina. We started trying to pilot new tools. As you know, and this is not a Mars exclusive thing, addressing speed and cost, while at the same time staying consumer focused, was already one of our priorities before even the pandemic started. And as in all CPGs, we often really found ourselves torn between our own internal pressure. So you have obviously budget. We were talking about budget earlier, timelines, project scope that can change in the middle of the way, and external obviously pressures like the moody consumers who keep on changing their minds all the time. And on top of all that, to your question, Motis, boom, COVID hits. So in sensory and consumer, the fact that we were adding new tools in our methods pantry since 2019 was tremendously helpful, honestly, to accelerate the insights gathering timelines. We all know, again, to what you were saying, it is no longer acceptable to wait for 8 to 12 weeks and sometimes more to get insights. So with new product development lead times, my colleagues in PD have shorter and shorter timelines, and it is for valid reasons. It is proportional to the speed of consumer trend evolution. So sometimes, as you were saying, we need to support the business in days in answering questions. And we were able to provide data which is actionable. This is very important in days. So from the script of the questionnaire to the results communication, we were able to do the whole test in just 5 days. And then we communicated actionable insights to our stakeholders. Obviously, you were talking about quality. Not all projects need the same tool. So for research that is, I don't know, foundational, for example, to understand core brands' eating behavior. This is something that I have done recently. We have to take the time needed to properly design our testing plans. So not everything has to be fast and furious, as you can imagine. And to give you some real examples now to what we've done in our team globally, not all these were used in MEA. I would have been the happiest MEA sensory scientist if I had the chance to use all those tools here in the region. So we used Ask Suzy, Motive Base, web scraping, focus groups that were virtually moderated with chocolate that we have delivered to our participants' homes. And obviously we used Tuluna Start that was available here. Not all the methods that I was mentioning are available in Middle East. And that's the strength, I think, with Tuluna. And if I can add, if you allow me, if we have time, one more important comment in here is that
Please.
What we tried to know was how we can, more than adding tools, because now there are more tools than ever, but it's not necessarily making our lives easier, was how we can use the data gathered with those tools. One of my phobias in my role is the so what question that I might ask myself after collecting the data. What am I going to do with this? Should I even share the findings with the project stakeholders? So knowing how to transform all those insights into actionable wisdom, to me, is much more important than the way we collect it.
Wow, thank you very much for sharing that, and I'm glad that you highlighted, by the way, the point related to Thailand's and flexibility, and of course the fact that depending on the type of research that you need, a type of solution is definitely the right fit for it. So that makes a lot of sense, and it also brings me actually to my second question, which is with regards to how the year 2020 specifically, because you were talking about 2018, 2019, and 2020, but specifically with regards to 2020 and how it accelerated the need, not just for agility, but for flexibility. And if you can just a little bit highlight how that has been the case and how it kind of portrayed itself in your business.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
day-to-day life, of course.
Definitely. So the tools I was talking about, if not accompanied by the right mindsets and behaviors, it simply wouldn't work. So you can have as much budget as you want and spend as much money you want. If you don't accompany those tools with the right behaviors, it will just add extra workload more than anything else. So yeah, agility. Agile, this is so buzzword. To me, it's not only a buzzword, thankfully. Again, if we are not being fast enough to understand consumers and the market VUCA character, we will simply disappear. And being able to run a quick sprint, for example, to frame the business question, again, this is also very important, then act upon that, it is key. It's not just a buzzword. So for us, it is key, and we are investing time here in Mars to adopt more agile ways of working. The other mindset I also encourage all of us to adopt is design thinking, as Marco was saying earlier, or user centricity, human centricity, you name it. These are all other buzzwords, but it is so critical to move out of product obsession. So we often hear about product development, product innovation, product centricity, and we need to get out of that and lean into a more holistic experience development approach. So that is to me is very key as a behavior. Also, what we need to do more is to talk to stakeholders as often as we can to try to understand what they have worked on in the past. This was very important in one of my projects recently. Maybe we have the answers already to the questions that we are trying to answer. And in here, we need to find the balance between using what has been done in the past and then keeping in mind that consumers are changing, so that data might not be useful anymore. So finding that balance and then think of why we would repeat things we know already. For example, in a quant study instead of a qual this time. This is what I've done recently also. One more last thing, Mu'tasim, more particularly to sensory scientists, myself included, guilty, I would say we need to try to get out of pure sensory product evaluation and to add context to our experiments. We need to find that link between product cues, pack cues, marketing cues. We need to talk more to CMI, more to marketing, more to R&D. And outside our business, we need to talk more to students, to universities, to other industry peers. And I'll end with staying curious also, which is one of our objectives in our team this year, and hope these resonate with people who are listening.
Wow. Thank you very much. That was very, very elaborative and helpful. And it's always lovely talking to you and hearing from your experience about the market. And truly appreciate it. Thank you very much for joining us. So right now I'm going to leave the stage to my colleague, Randeep, who's actually going to bring things to life by showing you an actual demo of how the platform works, of how we can portray agility and flexibility. And Randeep, please go ahead and take the stage.
Can someone just confirm they can hear me? Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we can hear you very well, Randeep. Thank you.
Okay. So let's get started then. Now, for this part of the webinar, I will be going through the Toluna Start platform. Now, what you're seeing on my screen is the Toluna Start platform. It's tolunastart.com. And when you come onto this platform, this is the one-stop shop for quantitative and qualitative solutions. Now, straight away, when you come onto Toluna Start,
Randeep, sorry to interrupt you. You are not sharing, or we are not seeing the shared Toluna Start live demo.
Let's share my screen. That'd be good to start with. You can see it now.
I think it's coming up. Yeah, there is a lot of things in the page at the moment, but I'm sure that when you will... Yes, perfect. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Okay, let's start again then. So this is tolunastart.com, and this is the platform. This is the one-stop shop for quantitative and qualitative solutions. Let's talk about how you navigate this platform first. So you come onto tolunastart.com, and then you see a few different options. On the top, you're seeing my recent projects. So these are the projects that I've launched. And then when you hover down, you'll see these boxes. And what is these boxes telling us? These are the solutions that we are offering in the different branches of market research that we think can help you. So for example, if I'm in the new product development cycle and I'm looking at these different boxes, this is telling me that we can tap into these different modules. Now, concept testing and pack testing, these are automated modules. And when I say automated, when you create, you will simply upload stimulus, you will switch on and off questions, you'll then get the questionnaire populated for you because it's an automated module. Then once you launch one of these automated modules, you'll get access to an info board, which has automated and summarize the analysis for you as well. Live discussions, this is our online qual solution, and it's geared towards anything from a 1-hour live chat to a 5-day focus group. So that's how you navigate this platform, right? I can tap into the different branches of market research. So let's say I'm involved with brand. That's what my remit is. So I stick on the brand cycle, and let's see now what different solutions we have. We have brand health. Brand health is our version of a brand tracker. And we'll go through these. So right now I'm just talking about the different boxes we're seeing here. And then we'll get more into the different solutions. Branded communities is actually the long-term version of live discussions. It's you having your own community. So perhaps ilovecrisps.com or I love crisps in MEA.com. And this is where you'll have panelists that will sit on your website, your panel, your community over a long period of time. Maybe we're talking months or even years. And that's where you'll shoot out qual to your members of your community. Live discussions I've touched upon, it's the short-term qual. You know, anything from a 1-hour to a 5-day focus group. When we go to advertising and creative, maybe your remit is all to do with advertisements, you're kind of launching campaigns, communications. Then actually we've got 2 modules there, comms pre-launch or comms post-launch. So it's to help you in both spaces, right? Before you've launched your advertisements, you might have a couple that you need to kind of assess which one's going to have the greatest impact. So you're going to test a few. Comms post-launch is most likely you've already gone to the market and launched an advertisement or a communication, and therefore you're now going to try and see how well did it do against your expectations and if you can make it better. And then finally, last but not least, behavioral. Now, behavioral data isn't a module as such, because when you click on behavioral data, you see this open up. And this is you telling us if you'd like more information on behavioral data. So just some context on behavioral data. A few years ago, Toluna bought a tech startup company who had some proprietary technology that sits on mobile phones of our panelists, and we can track their behavioral data. So it's not them telling us in surveys, we've done this, but we're actually tracking continually, you know, if they're searching certain keywords. So if you ever have a brief for behavioral data, come on here and talk with Sakina and the team and the Middle East team, and we can talk through the capabilities of behavioral data. But that's why it's not a module as such, because as you can appreciate, as behavioral data becomes more and more commonplace, data science is growing in most industries. I think everyone's learning what to do with this data. So that's behavioral data that I just wanted to touch upon. And then what else do people use the platform for? I've gone through the different solutions with the automated modules we have, but then you go and create custom survey, right? You're either going to come into the platform, you're going to create your own custom survey, and in custom survey, you can make a simple survey, few questions long, or you can make it as complex as you need. If you need to add rules, if you need to add routine, if you need to add advanced question types. So that's create custom survey, building your own quantitative survey. Whereas then when you go to create, you get the different options where you can tap into automated modules. So again, we stay on new product development. Then we've got these 3 modules that come up, which we think can help you. So now let's talk about how we use one of these automated modules, because actually the theme remains the same. We're not trying to change everything in every different solution or on every page that you visit on Toluna Start. But in fact, we're trying to keep it user-friendly and kind of easy and intuitive to navigate. So what you're going to see now is concept testing. And this is me building a concept testing module, the automated module, right? So let's go through these steps. Survey name, I've input it is 2020 November test. Audience. Now, these are the different markets I can launch my study in. And for this sake, I will select Saudi Arabia, English. Of course, I could have done it Saudi Arabia, Arabic as well. Category selection. We've got so many categories here for you to put. Why? The reason is because it's all about benchmarking the norms. How do you categorize your data? Because continually, and ever so more, we'll have users say, hey, I've got this 70% purchase intent score from this concept test. But actually, how does that weigh up against everyone else that's done retail insurance related surveys? So if you use the category selection here and categorize your surveys, your market research in an accurate way, then it just helps both of us get to that benchmarking and norms data at a later stage when you need it. Define your product or service. What you're going to see here is the ability to tell this automated questionnaire, which will be populated during the build stage when we get there, what kind of product or service are you testing? And this is all to do with purchase intent, right? Oh, I think my charge is running out. Let me just make sure the juice is still there. Okay. It's all about purchase intent, because commonly the purchase intent question says, to what extent would you purchase this product? But, you know, if you're a company that's coming out with maybe new subscription services, maybe it's a product that people can use or try or consume, you can change the wording here. So this affects purchase intent. And actually, we've got so many tooltips that if you hover over the question mark, it will hopefully give you a bit more guidance as well. So let's say we're testing a product and it's all about purchase intent. Let's click next. When we get to the next stage, you'll see I will have the ability to put in brands, and these are optional, right? This is an automated module. You're going to get a lot of different capabilities in these automated modules, but some of these are optional. You don't need to, for example, at this stage in part 2, define your brands. This is all about brand awareness. So after they've seen the concept, we'll ask them a question. And if you had popped different brands here, then they would see this brand list, for example, and get asked a brand awareness question. But again, as you can see, this is the optional part. Next. So we're going through the different stages of this automated module, right? And we're now on stage 3 of this define. This is one of the most important parts, because actually you're putting in your concepts here, your actual stimulus that you want to be testing. So define your concepts. At this stage, we've given you the capability that you can put up to 12. Now, you might not be testing 12, but you can put up to 12. Let's start off with this visible concepts box, because this is actually quite powerful. So pre-Toluna start, maybe last year, in the platform, you could have only have done monadic testing, meaning every single respondent would only ever see one concept. However, let's say in this now, I've put in 2 concepts. I can actually then say to the system, how many concepts do I want to be visible for each respondent? So I can say at this stage, do I want this platform or this test to be monadic, or do I want it to be sequential monadic? Which means maybe I want to show each respondent more than one concept. And the reasons for that could, of course, be for sample effectiveness, cost effectiveness, and whatever the reason might be. But you've got the flexibility here to control that. Enable text highlight questions. Now, this is new. So when you're adding your concepts, as you can see, I've just put in a Coca-Cola image here. I'll put in a description for my concept, which respondents will see. Then I've got this text highlight content part here. What is this? I've enabled text highlight questions. Therefore, if I put any text here, you know, I will copy and paste this. Maybe these are ingredients. Maybe these are claims. Respondents then get to see this paragraph later on, and then they can select individual words or even sentences for the metrics of like, dislike, and confusing. So that's text highlight for you here. Now look, on this stage, I've only put in one concept. You can put in more. Then we click next. Let's actually give this a brand name because I've added in brands. Now we're going to move to the final step of this automated build in terms of what you need to do. So we're on stage 4 now. We've already put in our stimulus, our concepts. We're on template settings here. This is saying to you, which questions do you want switched on or off in the populated questionnaire? So I can hover over questions there. These are the core metrics. So like, for example, this is telling me it's an open-end question. Based on what you've seen and read, what did you like about concept name? Please be as specific as possible. I can hover over the different questions here. I can switch on and I can switch off questions. These are the core metrics. Later on, when we get to the build and, you know, all these questions have already been populated, then you have the flexibility to perhaps add your own metrics, because like I said, these are just the core metrics. So when I click done at this point, I will then move on to the target page. So let's do that. You'll get a little pop-up here saying, are you sure you've done? This is like a hard trigger. You know, you're creating the foundation of this automated test. So whilst this generates, we will then move on to the target page. As you can see now in the target page, this is plugged directly into the Toluna panel. So yes, we have millions of members around the world, but essentially all this means is that you come into the target page. This is a live connection to the Toluna panel, our community of influencers. It already knows how many questions you've got because it's an automated test, right? You put in one stimulus that I've added in the concept stage. I've just put in an age here, and this is where you just drag and drop the demographics, the pre-targeting of your survey. So I'm sending this concept test survey to Saudi Arabia in the English language to just 18 to 99-year-olds. I said I wanted 50 completes per stimulus, and then I said calculate feasibility. When you calculate feasibility at this stage, you know, this target page is common, even if you use an automated module, or even if you came and created your own custom survey, this target page look and feel is similar. You'll always start off with your define. You'll then go to target. This is where you do as much pre-targeting for your sample as possible. Age, gender, region, nat rep audiences. Get your cost and time in here before you even built your survey. Then you click continue. As we click continue, you'll see we get to the modify questionnaire stage. Now, we are already seeing the questionnaire populated here, but to give you some context, if you were building a custom survey, you would not see these pages already populated, right? That's the difference. You would have had to create your own survey using these question types on the left-hand side. So that's how a custom survey wizard works. However, this is an automated module. This is concept testing. So the survey is already pre-built for you based on what you've switched on and off in the define page. Now, these are our core metrics, right? So there might be additional metrics that you want to capture, and the flexibility is there. I can add as many questions as I want in this automated test. One thing to note in that automated test is we will always start off with a red herring, i.e. survey quality question. So at the beginning here, we're trying to make sure that people are paying attention and the media is working for them. Otherwise, we'll screen them out. And that's a cost for us, right? Because we will just keep churning through these panelists until you get your quality respondents who have paid attention, answered your survey, and then finally, before the end, it will be another survey quality question. So this question is a little bit different. Please select the color purple from the lists below. If they don't select the correct color, they'll be kicked out. So this is an automated test. The flexibility is here. You can see it's already populated based off the questions I'd switched on and off during my define stage. Once you're ready and you're happy, you're going to click proceed to launch. Once you've launched, you will then get access to an info board, which looks like this. So with the automated modules, the output, you will always get an info board, we call it, an information board. It's summarize and analyze the data for you. So in this example of a concept test, we were testing two different concepts in a slide text format. We can look at it over there. The core metrics you see on the left-hand side, these are what we switched on and off during that define stage of the concept test. Then you can, of course, add all your additional metrics you need to capture, and you can drill down into each metric in these info boards. So these info boards will be telling you which scores are significant. So if any of these scores compared against the concept were significant, I would see stars there. And maybe an output for this is that, yes, concept 1 for believability is a greater score than concept 2, but maybe I need to go back to my marketing team and say, actually, the scores are so similar here, there's no significance. We need a different iteration of the stimulus. So this is an info board for a concept test that we're looking at. If we go back to the platform, you know, this is a launch page. We've launched it. You get access to your info board. One thing I do want to note out is that in any automated module you launch or in any custom survey you launch, you will always get this report link that I'm looking at, which I refer to as our Toluna Analytics dashboard. So this is by default at the bare minimum, the report dashboard that you get for any study you launch in the platform. Whether it's your custom survey, automated module, live discussion, you will always get this standard analytics report link. And just because I call it standard, the power and features in this, it lets you do a lot. So if I go to analyze, I can create subpopulations, I can create cross tabulations, I can even apply significance testing. And then when I've got my dashboard looking in the way that I need it to be, i.e. question 1, I want it as a word cloud. Then when I go to export into my report versions, PowerPoint or Excel, I will then get all of this data, you know, in a pie chart or in a word cloud with all those subpopulations I've added as new column breaks with significance testing applied. I will get that then in my export. So we try and do as much of your analysis here in these dashboards, because then when you export, you don't have to duplicate your work again. So for example, this word cloud, if I needed it, I can just export. So this is the standard report link that you get for any study you launch. And when you are launching to Toluna panelists, a kind of USP, a bonus, is that these questions you're seeing in the Roman numerals aren't questions that you've had to add in the survey and pay for extra. These are just the demographics that we've captured off our panelists: age, gender, region, how many people are in their household. So these are the kind of demographics that will provide you by default for every Toluna influencer that you pay for in your study. Then your actual survey questions start off from number 1, as you can see in this example. Now, I know that given the time as well, we haven't got too long left. It's 6 minutes on my time. So what I do want to now look at is we're back on this Toluna Start platform. What have I shown you so far? When we go to create, you can tap into the different automated modules. I've only kind of focused on one today because the theme is so similar throughout. You know, I showed you concept testing, we switch on our questions, upload your stimulus. You then get visibility to the whole questionnaire. You can make changes, you can add your custom metrics, you then launch. With these automated modules, you will get access straight away to these info boards, which go one step further than our standard report links to try and analyze and summarize the data for you. Now, let's look at some of those other info boards, because then it just brings it to life for you. So right now, we're looking at comms pre-launch. This is, remember, in the platform when we go to advertising and creative, comms pre-launch, before you go to market. So in this example, actually, we were testing 2 advertisements. Of course, they can be video, image, text-based. So I'll just play a little example here. So we're testing 2 advertisements. Core metrics there on the left-hand side. Let me just mute that. Core metrics on the left-hand side. And actually in this example, and this is a real example that we launched, what market was this in? This is in Saudi Arabia. So you can see I'm just looking here. And it's telling me some of these scores are very similar. Maybe there's not too many differences. You can see the highest emotion given for both was a good happy face. You know, add to is leading the way against likability just by a few percentage. So this is how I'm reading this info board. And then I'll go back to my creative agency or my advertisement team and say, hey, can you maybe give me another version which has a greatest kind of difference in scores? So that's how I'm reading these info boards. Now, let's look at a brand health, because remember in the platform, you can launch under brand health. Brand health is our version of a tracker. And if we just look at this output, the info board that you get for the brand health trackers, you'll see our methodology actually shown here. So across these 5 different pillars, knowledge, brand equity. So those 2 scores, which are traditional measures, you know, every supplier uses those in those trackers. we've come up with something new, different, tested, in conjunction with Aston Business School in the UK. And we've got our own metrics: future relevance, excitement, and community. So what is this real example telling me? And remember, this is all about skincare brands, for any of you that are interested in skincare brands. Now, if I hover down, you can see Dermalogica hasn't done too well in knowledge pillar. However, for community, we're in position 3. Against all 5 of these pillars, how well is Dermalogica doing? Well, let's actually now look at one scorecard combined. Dermalogica is in position 3. So we're doing a bit better than Nivea, Clinique, L'Oreal, but there's definitely improvements to be made. So when I go to my brand team, I might have to say to them, in the consideration ranking, we need to improve. We need consumers, when they're thinking about brands, to think of us more. So maybe this is one output I would give. Now, given I've got 2 minutes left, I'm thinking in my mind, is there one thing left or two? And there is, to show. So what are we looking at now? This is an example of a live discussion, because in the platform, you'll see under a lot of these different cycles of market research, we believe live discussions, our online call, will help you get to the why behind the what. So this example we're seeing right now, veganism, a hot topic, of course, anywhere in the world. This is a real example, and this is just one example to show you it's ultimately a chat room, like a WhatsApp, a Facebook chat room. You recruit your members in the form of a survey from the Toluna panel. You know, are you aware about veganism? Would you like to take part in our community, in our live discussion? And once you get your recruited members, over X period of time, you can then shoot out questions, discussion points. Yes, it's text-based. You know, the white boxes are all members that you're seeing. But you can have live chats. These don't have to be static topics. You know, you can be a moderator, come in and talk live. You can also get images and videos uploaded, and you can upload videos and images as well. So perhaps you're doing some early stage concept testing. So this is just one example in this webinar that I wanted to show you of live discussions. It's growing in popularity. We already know, you know, social distancing. People aren't able to do the face-to-face focus groups anymore. So this really does help in that aspect. So this is our live discussions, just one example. Now, if I go back to the platform, and I know we've hit the 11:20 mark, just to cover off, actually, there's one module that I haven't touched upon, and that's pack testing. And I've kept that to the last because actually we're in new product development, and it's not too dissimilar from concept testing. It's just the wording of that module is geared towards pack. If you're going to be selling or producing any item that you're going to then sell in a shelf environment, in a packaging, then pack testing might help you. To cover off, as the final kind of output that I'm going to show you for this webinar, is this pack testing info board. We've launched this. This is all about the Parachute brand of hair oil. We've tested 3. Again, common theme, core metrics on the left-hand side. If I did see any significant results, then of course I would have seen some stars there. And then I can dig deeper into each of these metrics. Not only on a, you know, comparison level with all 3 of the concepts I tested, but actually even on an individual level. If I needed to look at these packages in individual levels, then I can. Of course, I can even look at heat maps. I mean, there's so much to look at in these info boards, but we've tried to help you in terms of, yes, you get this report link and all your data from the surveys and the launches in this, but with the automated modules, we're trying to go one step further and automate the analysis for you as well. So that, in essence, is how the platform works. You come on to TolunaStart.com. There's no cost barrier to entry. And by that, I mean, come on to TolunaStart.com, create a login, get stuck in. You can do everything I've done today without paying for anything. The only time you need to think about cost is when you actually press launch. So that, in my eyes, is the best way to get kind of used to and familiar with the platform and to see how it can help you. But yes, TolunaStart.com, you've got the benefit of automated modules, and you can create your own custom survey. So that's what I've tried to show you today. And I think I will now hand it back to the team.
Right. Thank you very much, Randeep. I'm just going to now quickly wrap up within 30 seconds.
Do you want me to stop sharing, Skinner?
Sorry?
Should I stop sharing?
Yes, please. Yeah.
No problem.
So we have, I can see in the chat box, we have over 40 questions. I've tried to answer as many as I could, but some of them I think we'll be just setting a one-on-one session with you guys to take you through in more detail. So promise on that. We'll come back later in the week. Quickly, just wanted to conclude with a very strong voice that we recently, heard from one of our very prestigious client, Colgate-Palmolive. It's a very thoughtful and strong insight on how the market research trends are really evolving. But what really just caught my attention was the fact that they mentioned that a connected platform that enables us to democratize the most routine research and repeatable studies, those which can be executed quickly and efficiently, and enables our insight teams to focus on biggest issues, is what they really find value in and see as a future of how they want to understand evolving consumer behavior. So on that note, thank you very much for everybody who joined today. And I'm sure you do have many more questions, and there is a opportunity, to connect and discuss how we could support in your upcoming potential market research needs. My email address is being displayed over there. It's sakina.manan@teluna.com. And yes, we'll be in touch. We'll get back to all the questions that were asked. Thank you very much for posting them.
Thank you, everyone. Also for me, thank you for joining us, and thank you for the, for your attention today. Have a good rest of the day.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Linda, again. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Have a good day.